All right, everybody, a little bit of a different recap tonight as I am finally back from Los Angeles. Thank you to Frontier Airlines for the fiasco that was getting back, but I'm now back in Georgia. So, that is what matters. And what really matters is, while I was gone, the Braves are on a 4-game win streak. They took the last 2 from the Los Angeles Dodgers, was in attendance for Sunday's game, so got to watch a Bryce Elder masterclass. And then they took the first 2 against the Cubs. So who's the number 1 team in baseball, Major League Baseball? I mean, it's in your name. You'd think you would know the sport a little bit better than putting the Braves at number 2 when you just watched them dismantle the Dodgers. So I fully expect at the end of this week, MLB will release their power rankings and have the Dodgers number 1 with the Braves number 2. Even though the Braves have a chance tomorrow to sweep with Chris Sale on the mound. So, where do we begin? Because we're not going to just cover the game tonight. We're going to cover kind of just everything I've missed. So, a much broader kind of recap here today. First, starters, the Braves have the best record in Major League Baseball. They're 30-13, which is a full game and a half over the Rays. Full 3 games over the Chicago Cubs with a chance to make that a 4-game lead tomorrow. Yes, the Los Angeles Dodgers are slumping. They've lost, I think, 2 in a row now to the San Francisco Giants, who feel like they can't beat anybody. And we had Humpgate in the outfield. So, if you know ball, you know what I'm talking about. But the Braves still haven't played anybody because that's how the metric is. Keep in mind, they took 2 of 3 from the Dodgers, took 2 of 3 from the Athletics, who are leading their division, took 2 of 3 from the Cleveland Guardians, who are leading their division, took 2 of 3 from the Cubs, who are leading their division. The Dodgers are in second place because mostly they're 1 game, or actually a half game back, or now 1 game back of the Padres. They wouldn't be if they didn't lose 2 to the Atlanta Braves. So, that is basically where I stand. The Braves have beaten everyone in front of them except for the Seattle Mariners. So despite Cal Raleigh going through his extended hitless streak, which he broke today, so congratulations to the big dumper, the Braves lost a series to Seattle, which just kind of seems to be one of their kryptonites. They cannot beat the Mariners. Does not matter if it's East Coast, West Coast, in T-Mobile, in Truist. They really struggle with the Mariners, which it really feels like the only team in Major League Baseball history to ever struggle with the Mariners. But go watch the John Boyce special about that. Really good recommendation there. Braves only 4-1 against teams that are above 500. However, that number has to be put into quotations because, like I mentioned, so many teams right now, there are very few teams that have good records. The Braves, Rays, Cubs, Yankees, Padres, Cards, Brewers, Dodgers. Really, those are your cream of the crop teams right now in Major League Baseball. You could almost lump the Pirates in there with their 3 games above 500. But, and also, there's just no way that's just not true because they're 4-1. Yeah, and I'm looking at the list. So they have 2 wins against the Cubs. They'd be 4-1 just against the Dodgers and Cubs. And they have 2 wins against the Guardians and 2 wins against the Athletics. So yeah, MLB is just lying to everybody. Which makes a lot of sense for Major League Baseball. The National League is a powerhouse compared to the American League. American League is top heavy. Tampa is on a tear right now. The Yankees are still really good, though. They had some bad Max Fried news today, where he's going to be shut down for a while, even best estimate. So I hope Max Fried gets to feeling better. Obviously, he is a guy I will always root for, despite him choosing to leave Atlanta. But the Braves have just, no matter who they're playing, they find a way to win. The biggest thing for me that I'm looking at, their expected win-loss, they would be 31-12. Filtering by expected win-loss rate. The next highest would be the Yankees at 29-15, which would be a full 2 games back of the Braves. The Braves underperforming their metric 31-12 expected win-loss. And it feels like that first game in Los Angeles, there were just a bunch of breaks that did not break Atlanta's way, even with Chris Sale putting in on a masterful performance. So I definitely see where that game would come from. Another thing, just looking at expected run differential, and MLB's website, of course, does not let you sort by run differential, or at least not on this page. And it doesn't let you go to the next month, or to the next day either, even though this is yesterday's. So, as coming into the game against the Cubs on Wednesday night, the Braves have a plus 93 run differential. Compare that with other juggernauts up there. I mentioned the teams that are kind of in the upper echelon of Major League Baseball right now. The Rays, they're a game and a half behind, but they're only 22 runs to the good. Plus 41 for the Cubs, that went down a bit tonight. Plus 69 for the New York Yankees, far and away the best in the American League. But the Yankees plus 69 is the closest to the Braves. In the National League, you have to go all the way back down to the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are plus 59. So, that's 34 runs of difference between the Dodgers and the Braves for the top 2 teams in the National League in terms of run differential. And then you look at a lot of these other teams that, especially in the National League, these teams with really good records that just aren't all that impressive. The Padres, plus 3 run differential despite being up 25-17 in their record. They're expected to be 500. They're several games above 500, 8 games to be exact. The Cardinals, plus 5. They're expected to be 21-20, and they're 24-17. The Brewers, on the other hand, 23-17, but they're expected to be a lot better. They have a plus 54, which is good for 3rd in the National League. And they have an expected win-loss record of 26-14, which is crazy considering they are 3rd in the National League Central. The Central this year is a bit of a gauntlet. All 5 teams have a record of above 500. So if I'm correct, by my count, let me just make sure. I knew it was the case the other day. Yankees, Guardians, A's. Yeah, not counting the Chicago White Sox that are exactly 500 coming into today. The NL Central, one division, has more teams above 500 than the entirety of the American League. So the entire NL Central, if it was just picked up and put into the junior circuit, all 5 of those teams would be in the playoffs starting today, assuming that they just transplanted into their Central. And I think that there is a real possibility of looking at this and saying, yes, the Central is very good, definitely the best division top to bottom. I don't know if any of those teams have the ability to step up and beat a team like Atlanta or Los Angeles in October. And if there's going to be one of those teams, you look at the Brewers or the Cubs, just because they have the deepest, I think pretty much agreed upon, the deepest rosters there. Obviously, Reds and Pirates, they both have phenomenal players. Ellie De La Cruz and Paul Skeens is showing why he's on track to be one of the greatest pitchers ever. So, but it does seem like if anyone's going to come out of the National League, the Braves right now are playing the best. But then the Dodgers, despite not even being first in their own division, are miles above the rest of the National League before you consider a secondary contender like the Brewers, Cubs, or even the Padres. Because the Padres, with only a plus 3 run differential, not something I would really consider a threat right now. I would love to see how they play, though, when the Braves come to town. Obviously, the Dodgers and the Padres play up in, I think, a week or two. So Dodgers having a lot of divisional games right now. Something that came to mind over this stretch, this 4-game win streak for Atlanta, they have outscored their opponents 23-7. And that is notable when you look at these standings. Like I mentioned before, just team hitting, if we just go to runs scored, the Braves are 1. 4 and 5 are the Chicago Cubs and the LA Dodgers. And so far, in these last 4 games, they've been held to 7 runs. And even if you throw in the Dodgers in the game they won, it only goes up to 10. So the Braves pitching staff, both the rotation and the guys coming out of the bullpen, are doing phenomenal. The Dodgers, if it weren't for a few just bad pitches by a few relievers, would have been shut out both of the last games. And what's to say about this pitching staff? So over the last 5 games, Chris Sale gives up all 3 earned runs. Outside of that, you look at the Bryce Elder gave up 0 earned runs. The day before, Spencer Strider, I think we have to talk about him, looked like his vintage self. He managed to strike out. Let me find it. There it is. In 6 innings pitched, 1 hit ball, 2 walks, so clean that up a little bit, 8 strikeouts. So despite getting blown up at Coors Field, he lowered his ERA down to 2.89. And no runs scored on Spencer Strider. Then the next day, the game I was at, you take a look at this stat line. Bryce Elder was cruising, gave up the 1 hit late, or when was that 1 hit? He gave up a hit pretty early in this, had a no-hitter going, I think, for exactly 2 outs, actually, because it was a little flare out to right field. But then came out in the 6th inning, just kind of lost his command. That was a very interesting setup. But you get to see Robert Suarez come into the game to put out the fire. He gives up a ball that was off the bat, I thought was at least a double. And Eli White makes a significant game-altering play, runs headfirst into the wall, and they have him on concussion protocol for the next 5-ish days left. The Braves do expect to activate Eli White immediately after he's ready. But Walt Weiss is aggressive in going after wins. And the team seems to respond to that. If every game we can go out and we're going to try to win it. Unless it's completely out of our hands, unless it's 8-1. And if we think we have a chance to win, we're going to try to win that baseball game. And it doesn't matter what inning it is. Like I said, Elder started struggling in the 6th. You go and see one of the game's best relievers in Robert Suarez. And going from Bryce Elder to Robert Suarez is insane. Like, they're just different stylistic pitchers. But I don't think enough can be said about what Weiss is managing and how well he understands every single chess piece at his disposal. Tonight, for example, in game 2 against the Chicago Cubs, just look at this bullpen usage. J.R. Ritchie gives you 4 1/3. Still have to clean up the walks, but with a few men on, it's only the 5th inning, and you got 1 out. It's okay. We didn't get a lot of length out of Grant Holmes last night. We are going to go win this game right now. 1-0 Braves. Kinley gets the ground ball. He was looking for it for a double play, but splits between Riley and Kim. Nothing you can do about that. 1 run scores. That would be all the Chicago Cubs got tonight. Kinley then got 2 outs with runners on, so he managed to work around some traffic. Martin Perez comes out of the bullpen, despite, thinking that he would probably get a start. Maybe not this series, but upcoming. I mean, Martin Perez has been consistently starting for you, but with Grant Holmes going, yesterday, you need another arm in the bullpen. The Braves are in a weird position where they have a lot of hybrid starters and relievers. So Perez comes out, 2 strikeouts, 1, 2, 3, sit them down. And at that point, you're like, well, maybe we could just use Perez like this from time to time. He can come in and get outs against the best parts of Chicago, of a really good lineup the Cubs have there. Right after Perez, Dylan Lee comes out, same thing. Sit down, 2 strikeouts. Robert Suarez actually gets himself into a little bit of trouble, but easily works his way out of it with 2 strikeouts. And, I mean, he's got a .5 ERA on the season. Raisel Iglesias gives up the walk, immediately erases it with a double play thanks to Ha-Seong Kim. You already feel his defense back there at short. And so basically a 1-2-3 inning, despite there being a runner. In this game, the Braves walked 5 batters, and they only gave up 4 hits. So if they can cut down on the walks, that's about the only thing that has plagued Braves pitching this year. If they can cut down on the walks, they will be fantastic. And of course, leaving out a team that does not chase very much, they struck them out 10 times. 10 strikeouts for the pitching staff, who, by the way, Tyler Kinley, who's been blown up now several times in a row, today I thought was a better appearance for him despite giving up the run, which is credited to J.R. Ritchie, a 3.5 ERA. If you can go out there for a playoff series, and this is not including someone like Didier Fuentes, who I genuinely think will be a household name by the end of the season. He is that good, and starting in this role, coming out of the pen, but can give you long relief that is elite relief. It's like strutting out Dylan Lee or Robert Suarez for 3 innings. Didier can give you that. And I think there's going to come a time when/if the Braves are in a spot in the postseason where one of their starters has to bow out early because you're chasing some sort of advantage. The team goes and pinch hits a guy, and you have to pull him. Or he's got 2 on. You need to go and pull him. He's lost command. You can't play around with that in the postseason. Didier Fuentes can come in, and everybody the next day will be like, who was that guy who came out of the pen, threw 97, and gave you 4 innings of 1-hit ball? Because that's kind of the role that I think Didier Fuentes can play. Not to say that he can't go out there in the 6th inning and strike out a guy like Kyle Schwarber or Bryce Harper. Or, I mean, Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr. The list goes on. He can do anything out of the pen that Atlanta asks him to do. Even has a save on his resume this year, even though it wasn't a traditional save. Didier Fuentes is the Braves' secret weapon on a team, really, that feels like it's full of secret weapons and guys who were cast aside because they were told they were not good enough. And they come to Atlanta either for a last chance, a second chance, whatever level they're on, and they are absolutely performing. Guys like Dylan Lee, who pitched for the Marlins, got cut from the Miami Marlins, comes to Atlanta, and he's been here for a few years, and he's slowly evolved into quietly one of the most elite lefties in the game of baseball. This year, .87 ERA for Dylan Lee. And he has been lights out of that Atlanta bullpen. And Raisel Iglesias, now he has not given up a run this year. And if you go earned run streak, I think it's up in the 40s in terms of innings pitched without an earned run. He's been used 2 nights in a row, really 3 games in a row here for Atlanta. But the Braves don't mind using their relievers because they will take an opportunity to win a baseball game today and will figure it out tomorrow. Because we're using 5 relievers to cover 5 2/3 innings today. That may not matter tomorrow. You may not have to even lift a finger with Dylan Lee, Robert Suarez, Raisel Iglesias. Cool, if they need a day off, Didier Fuentes is probably unavailable. Might get Martin Perez to be able to go. tomorrow. Tyler Kinley. I mean, Aaron Bummer, the Aaron Bummer experience. That's probably the one player that I think most Braves fans are not happy with. And Chris Sale could go out there and give you 7 or 8 innings of one-run baseball, no-run baseball. He's that good. Him and Bryce Elder have been, let's just look at the pitching by player. If we want to go by everyone who is qualified, then by ERA, Shohei Ohtani leads the field here with a .82, and the way the Dodgers are using him right now is kind of crazy. But the second best ERA in the National League is Bryce Elder with a 181. Followed closely Clay Holmes, Paul Skeens, Chase Burns, guys like that. But then Chris Sale is not far behind on this list. I think he's 13th or 12th in the National League. 11th in the National League. If I could actually count, that would be amazing. But 11th in the National League in terms of ERA. He has 2 more good starts. He'll be right up there with Elder in the top 5. He has been everything that is advertised. Whenever the Braves traded for him, traded Vaughn Grissom, a fan favorite player, to go get Chris Sale, I don't think anyone, except for maybe Alex Anthopoulos, and even then, I kind of want to call him a liar to think that he thought this was still possible for Chris Sale. I mean, he has legitimately made a case. I don't even think it's an argument. He will be a Hall of Famer. The biggest question is, what will be the logo on his bronze bust, on his plaque? And, I mean, there's 3 teams he's played for. All 3 have a case. But if he goes out and wins another Cy Young or wins a World Series with Atlanta, I think there's a really good case that there's a script A on the front of his ball cap. Looking at hitting statistics now, there is no better hitter in baseball than one Matthew Kent Olson. He is legitimately phenomenal. Looking at Matt's stats so far this season, got to pull up Matt Olson here. He leads in almost every meaningful category for a hitter, at least one that's qualified. 166 at-bats this year. He's hitting .295. So everything you thought that a guy like Freddie Freeman can go out and do and hit in terms of average, Matt Olson's going and doing that. Add on to that 14 home runs this season, which is right along the National League's best. 1 stolen base in Los Angeles, just to show you they can do it all. He's 1 dotting it in terms of OPS, and that's with a relatively quiet last 2 days against the Chicago Cubs. He is one of the best hitters in his generation. And he is well on his way to the Hall of Fame as well. The Braves traded a Hall of Fame first baseman, let him walk, and got another Hall of Fame first baseman. It truly is a case for first base for the last 2 decades for the Atlanta Braves of, oh no, my steak's too juicy, my lobster too buttery. And the Braves are, I mean, it's hard to name another maybe besides like Green Bay, the Green Bay Packers, the run they went on to go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. That's kind of the run that Atlanta is on in terms of first baseman. It's not the same thing. Like, they didn't develop Olsen. They had to trade for Olsen. And I guess you could make the same thing. Well, the Packers didn't develop Favre. Yeah, they did. The Falcons drafted him, but, I mean, the Falcons are kind of where good players go to die. Sorry. As a Falcons fan. Do I have any merch out here? No, I don't. Okay. Screw it. It's okay. But the Braves are just crushing people. Something I found very interesting. Over this 4-game win streak, the Braves have 14 unique hitters. Or 14 unique players with a hit. Michael Harris, Dom Smith, Matt Olson, Mike Yastrzemski is turning it on as of late. Mauricio Dubon, tonight's hero. Austin Riley, who is also starting to heat up in the month of May. Drake Baldwin, best catcher in baseball. Ozzie Albies, cooling down a little bit, but not enough to be concerned about. He made a few fantastic plays defensively tonight that felt like I was watching rookie year Ozzie Albies. I mean that as a compliment. Ha-Seong Kim got his first hit of the season tonight. Jorge Mateo, Jose Azocar, who has been really good with considering the circumstances of just needing a guy. Jim Jarvis got a hit on Friday night after making one of the best plays you will ever see, and he got sent down to Gwinnett. I think that's probably the correct decision. I think we'll see a lot of Jim Jarvis probably either next year or later in the season if the Braves have some openings at that position or somewhere in the middle infield, though they have tremendous depth in the middle infield right now. Ozzie Albies making a case to be an all-star. Mauricio Dubon is the best utility player in the game. Ha-Seong Kim is really solid. Jorge Mateo is also right there as one of the best guys off the bench that any major league roster gets to throw out there on any given day. So, who have we not talked about? I mean, I feel like we've talked about pretty much everyone. I mean, Mike Yastrzemski, he's been thrust into action. There have been so many injuries in the outfield. I mean, Michael never went fully down, but he had to step up when Michael went down, at least in terms of playing time. Never really did. Acuna went down about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago at this point. He didn't step up then. However, ever since Eli White ran at about 25 miles per hour directly into the right field wall at Dodger Stadium, Mike Yastrzemski has been on fire. He had a double to break this game open tonight. He had a home run last night. He's 3 for 3 in his last 3 at-bats. So, Mike Yastrzemski finally seems to be getting it together. Very streaky player historically. So, been on a bit of an extended cold streak, and he hasn't gotten the playing time that I think he's needed to break out of it. But I get, why he wasn't getting the playing time. It's a very hard thing to justify when you have so many guys who are hitting very well. And even though Yastrzemski is getting paid more than most of them, you got to throw him out. You can't throw him out there with the way he was hitting. When a guy like Jorge Mateo and Mauricio Dubon are going out there day in, day out and giving you good major league at-bats. So I understand why, but there was an interesting quote from Walt Weiss, and I think it was 680 The Fan who had it this morning, that they were talking about the late, great Bobby Cox. And Walt Weiss knew Bobby very well. I think he played for him. I mean, they were in the same organization for several years. And he said the thing he admired most about Bobby's managerial style, everyone always talks about the ejections, how hard-nosed Bobby Cox was. But the thing you don't think of as much when you think of Bobby Cox is when a player was slumping, he was the first guy right there on top of the dugout, clapping his hands, saying, "Come on now, here we go, kid, here we go." Just getting into it. And Walt Weiss says that is the managerial style, the thing about Bobby Cox's managerial style that he tries to emulate the most. And the day he said it, because this was actually, Tuesday morning, 2 guys who have been struggling at the plate absolutely blow the game wide open for Atlanta and get them their first win over the Chicago Cubs. Austin Riley with a homer, Mike Yastrzemski with a homer, and Mike Yastrzemski tonight with another hit, this time off the bench. And this is a very fun season that Atlanta is having. Not to mention, the deaths of Ted Turner and Bobby Cox hang over this franchise. The Braves wearing number 6 on their hats. I'm sure there'll be something to commemorate Ted this year on the jerseys or in the field or in the stadium somewhere. But the Braves are having a lot of fun. And right now they're doing it for Bobby and Ted. So it is really hard to beat a team that has something to play for. That is going out there day in and day out and having fun playing the game of baseball. You look at the Dodgers right now. They're not having fun playing baseball. The Cubs were before they came to Atlanta. They're not having fun in Atlanta, I can tell you that. The Braves, every time you look at them, they look like they're picking each other up. They're smiling, they're laughing, they're having a good time. They enjoy trolling their opponents. You thought that was a home run? Nah, I'm just kidding. I'll put my glove up and catch that from Ronald Acuna. Yesterday, Matt Olson messing with Ozzie Albies. Just a bunch of stuff that these guys are comfortable with, and they haven't looked this way since 2023. Obviously, you don't want the season to end the way the 2023 season did. But man, that regular season was an absolute roller coaster ride. Not a lot of maybe that's a terrible example. It was a theme park ride. How about that? It was a lot of fun until the end. So, replace the ending. But for now, just strap in and enjoy the ride along with, how many people have been on the Atlanta roster so far this year? Quite a few. We're well over 30 at this point. So, enjoy the ride with the Atlanta Braves and their players. There's no better time to be a fan than right now. The product you get to watch every single night in your living room with a broadcast network that is fantastic as a Braves fan. And you get to turn it on every day at 7 o'clock typically and watch a bunch of grown men have the time of their lives playing a children's game for our benefit. And it is so much fun to watch. And I hope you are enjoying it as much as I am. That is a long rant. I just saw the timestamp for the first time. 33 minutes. Okay. Time to wrap it up. But if you made it this far, this is a different type of content. I never make stuff like this. That's just stream of consciousness. But that is what this is. The Braves are on a tear right now. They go for the sweep of the Cubs tomorrow, today, whenever you see this. This will probably get uploaded in the morning, actually. But enjoy it. Enjoy it while it lasts, and hope it lasts all the way to November. I'm Caden. Until I see you next time, peace out and keep on shopping.